Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Outlawed Live. Outlawed Live with Ron Stone is the official title, but tonight it's going to be Outlawed Live with Mike Idle and guests, an outlaw family and outlaw nation. Ron Stone taking a much-earned, much-needed, and much well-deserved respite as he is back in his stomping grounds of Southern Ohio, visiting family, and kind of just taking a breather this evening. So he contacted me, asked me if I could run the show solo tonight. I said, Ron, that's no problem. So Outlawed Live without Ron Stone will be what we're calling it this evening. And right off the get-go, thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what you've got on your mind. Let us know what questions you have. Big show tonight. Lots of things to talk about. A lot of fun guests. Starting off with Dave Nelson, the Executive Vice President of the Outlaws, and Kurt Koima. Kurt, you are an influential member of the Rock Valley Tractor Pulling Board. Am I saying that right? Tell the world what your title would be and your affiliation to Thunder in the Valley.
I don't know exactly what the title would be, but just sit on the board of directors.
Influential and important person is what we will call you for the remainder here. So gentlemen, thank you for being with me tonight. I hope all is well in your corners of the world and all is doing as good as it can be. Dave and I were kind of speaking beforehand, and we really want to make sure that we, by and large, take our time sorting through this. The epicenter of news in the outlaw world right now, Rock Valley. I would say Rock Valley, Iowa is the heart of the Outlaws. This is kind of where we're based out of. This is how things get going. And it's been, how would you guys describe it? It's been devastated. Is that too strong of a word? Let's talk about, for anyone who doesn't know, and Kurt and Dave, you've seen it firsthand, and I'll let you kind of take the stage. Give us the quick rundown of what has happened to the Northwest Iowa community and kind of just where that's left people standing in the past week or so.
Kurt, this is kind of the news of outlaw family, to where, take us back to last Friday night and how much rain you had kind of had and your involvement. I mean, you've been on the fire department for what, 20 some years, you said. Kind of start us from last Friday night and bring us forward to where we're at today.
The rain really kind of started, I would say, Wednesday night to Thursday of last week. Thursday night, we got together with some of the officers of the fire department, just pre-planned a little bit, discussed with the city a little bit. There was a town above us, about 20 miles, that had 9 to 11 inches of rain. Just going over what-if scenarios, and then fast forward to Friday, forecast gets worse and worse, starting to talk about 3 to 5 inches of rain for us, and a huge area above us, which the Rock River drains a very large area. Go to about 3 o'clock Friday afternoon, we decide we got to start sandbagging. About 8 o'clock, the thunderstorms start, and it pours, I would say 3 hours straight. The creek by the tractor pull flooded. I think with the area, a 20-mile radius, had anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of rain. And all the stars aligned that our levee, we would have to have that levee quite a bit taller. And the town, basically, it flooded in a matter of, the water just was going up by feet every hour. And the rescuing started about 1:30 Saturday morning and didn't end until 8:30 Saturday night.
So they blew the siren. They blew the sirens at what, 1:30? You said Saturday morning. And there's stories of he's going to freeze up on us now, Mike.
Well, that we can fill in there. So to put it just point blank, the flooding that has occurred in Northwest Iowa, with Rock Valley being kind of ground zero, has been of prolific proportions. This is not, when I first heard about it, I was on my way to Manila to work the tractor pull in Manila, Iowa, and I received a phone call from one of my team members, and she said, hey, I'm going to be a little late. I have to reroute due to some flooding. We got flooding in Rock Valley last night. And you're thinking that prototypical, like, the creek's out, you're going around, your mind doesn't really go to that place until the texts and the calls and the pictures started coming in. But this is nowhere near a typical April rain shower, the creek is out flood. This is it's time to rescue people, as Kurt is speaking. This is a severe act of Mother Nature and a legitimate disaster type area. So Kurt, you were explaining that rescue missions were underway in a community that had been truly hit as hard as anything I've seen in recent memory. So continue with that story and walking us through that aspect.
We were rescuing with boats. The fire department started out, like I said, at 1:30. We had some people brought us some boats, and then the payloaders started coming in. Sprayers, big, tall John Deere sprayers. We put the call in at I think it was about 1 o'clock to bring in the Iowa Task Force, which is, I think they used to were called the Urban Search and Rescue. They arrived. I think they made their first rescue at 5:30. As I said last night, they told us that this was the worst they've ever seen of all their calls. They don't get called out unless it's the bad, and it really hit us knowing that we were in one of the worst situations that they've ever seen. And in fact, the National Guard helicopter had to come in and get some people off some roofs that they could not reach. We literally had 2 streets that were whitewater, cars covered, cars completely. We had a couple times that we just would our motor would hit the cars underneath the water. I mean, it was just that deep in some of them areas. And it was dark. You couldn't see nothing, no lights. We had transformers blow. I was actually riding on a John Deere sprayer that about tipped over when we took a street corner, and he took over a lawn, and as we were pulling that sprayer out, the transformers were about 50 yards from us, and they started blowing. They went 3. There was 3 of them, and they all blew within like 30 seconds of each other. And it was surprising, not more than what we lost 1 person through the whole debacle, and we should have lost a lot of first responders. I mean, it was the grace of God that we saved what we saved.
So to really kind of transition right off of that, and I wanted, as someone who was far removed from this and kind of watching this develop as a fan or as a worker for the Outlaws or whatever my title might be, here's kind of how I saw it. And I want you guys to tell me if this is reflective of how the thought process kind of went, because we're eventually going to get to tractor pull news. This does tie back into something to do, like the banner says, there is a press release that we're going to look at. So when I heard about flooding, my first thought was, oh, bummer. Like, I hope the track's not terribly wet. Like, there's a really big pull in 3 weeks. And then I start understanding the gravity of the situation. And for that next couple of days, tractor pulling kind of becomes secondary. You realize you're looking at human needs, and you're looking at people here, and a tractor pull really is just kind of the farthest thing that you're concerned about. You're concerned with, where are people staying? How are they going to rebuild? Are kids going to go to school? Are families warm and safe, etc.? And then you start kind of developing as the week goes along. And I know I spoke with Dave, and I asked him last week, I said, how do we go about donating? What can we do to help Rock Valley? And kind of where are we? And we kind of, he was telling me about the pull a little bit. So Dave, kind of walk through the emotions of how we went from, is there going to be a pull? Is there not going to be a pull? How do we make this decision? Because there's a lot to look at there. What's a tractor pull compared to, people that are without houses, and how that ultimately led to a really, really good decision in a good scenario.
Yeah. I mean, me and Kurt probably talk once a day the way it is anyways. And we were kind of talking throughout the weekend as they were rescuing and doing sandbags and that. And I mean, by Monday morning, as the dust kind of settled, I mean, the dust didn't settle, but as things kind of settled down and it was a little bit out of the rescue stage, now it's kind of an assessment of what we have. Of if you're good with this program, Mike, go to the Outlaw Facebook page and look at some of those early pictures. I mean, by Monday morning, Kurt had went out to the track and started looking at just the grounds of the track. And I'm sure everybody that is on this show watching has seen Facebook Live and seen, I mean, 4 and 5 feet deep of corn stalks jammed under that whole east side of the track was the worst of the grandstand. And quite honestly, the track, I mean, to look at some of these pictures, it looks rough because quite honestly, what it is, it's the ryegrass that's just laying down. But that cover crop saved that track from that creek. Let's call it a river that was running over the track. You can see where there was a current running over the track. And if that ryegrass wouldn't have been there, the track would have been eroded away and just taken away. And so that's about 4 feet right there. That's the southeast corner. That's the east side of the grandstand, clear to the south. And it's just pure corn stalks, and it's crazy. And so, I mean, there's another great picture of it. That's between the guardrail. That's on the east side of the track. You can see, if you look straight down there, that's that shed that we used to eat supper in, and that's where we stage the tractors down there. We're down at 330, 340 right now on the east side of the track. And so it's like, all right, what can we do? I mean, I think Kurt needs to jump in here and just kind of share some emotions of just, I mean, your town's a mess. There's 500 some homes in town that look like could be a potential complete loss. Hundreds of families without homes, don't even know if they're going to be able to get the Christian school and high school open by fall time because of the damage. And so, Kurt, kind of bring us from Monday looking at this and what we started thinking about during the week, man.
Yeah, like Dave said, Monday was the first time I actually just drove over there at 8:30 Monday morning, and I think Rich and a couple of the other guys met us down there, and we just walked around, and like, there's just no way we can even have a pull here, even consider it. We had a lot more to worry about, but yeah, everybody was just curious what this place looked like, and like David said, the track. I don't have some I don't think I sent them pictures, but there was places on that track that rye was over my shoulders tall, and we really wouldn't have had a pull if that rye, if we would have had that rye taken off there, because that track would have been just gouged by the current, like Dave said. And yeah, as the week went on and Dave started putting these details together about potentially people coming to town and seeing town get cleaned up, and the outsiders wanting to do it. I mean, and then by 10 o'clock Saturday morning, the amount of people that we had in Rock Valley actually cleaning that thing up. And by noon, I mean, we could see light at the end of the tunnel that, hey, this thing is going to be cleaned up, and we could possibly pull this thing off yet.
The call to arms from both fans, supporters, pullers, and everyone alike, and what happened on Saturday is one of those things that I look back in it, and it gives me goosebumps, and it gives me chills, and it makes me proud to be a member of the Outlaw family, and it makes me proud to be a truck and tractor pulling fan, because that's what the salt of the earth people do when there's something like this. And Dave, I think you put it best when the idea, you guys said, no way, no tractor pull, forget about it. We're looking at the track, put it out of your mind. It's not going to happen. And you start working the numbers and working logistics and working the manpower. And then you're like, okay, maybe this is a possibility. And I loved what you said, Dave. You said this community is going to need something to celebrate in a time of challenge, in a time of, just disparity. We need a reason to come together. We need a sense of normalcy. And I think that kind of, after what happened, after you saw the track, you board members had a meeting. Now, obviously, it's closed door meeting. You don't have to tell us specifically, but kind of walk us through what was the general tone of that meeting that you guys had on Sunday or Monday after seeing the track cleaned up, and walk us through the decisions you made, and then we'll read the press release as soon as you're done with that.
Talk to us about Friday night, Kurt, and the mood of our meeting sitting there Friday night, and then talk about kind of the feeling of Saturday night, probably about 5 o'clock, but pretty much 24 hours later.
We were pretty down Friday night. I mean, we didn't meet until 9 o'clock. Everybody was emotionally, physically, mentally drained. And yeah, we were sitting in a facility that was a disaster yet. So yeah, everybody's attitude was just, yeah, it's just going to be the easiest to pull the plug and walk away of this thing and worry about 2025, and I included. And yeah, then flip the script, and sun comes up the next day, and the army of people show up, and yeah, by 5 o'clock Saturday night, I mean, what a difference of attitudes. And like, yeah.
On Saturday morning, it was a high of 70 degrees on Saturday. It was a nice breeze out of the northwest. You broke a sweat, but it wasn't a hot sweat. And we said everybody to be there by 9 or at 9. People started rolling in at 8 o'clock. Me and Kurt were down there by 6:30, kind of getting things set up, pulling a little bit of fence out here and there. People just started coming in. And I'm thinking, okay, well, it's getting close to 9. One of us probably need to be up there where we were going to have people park, just to kind of give people ideas of what come to do. Nobody took a lead of going up and telling people what to do. People would just drive in, literally get out of their cars, just look around, grab their pitchfork, and they just went to work. There was no like, okay, we're here to work. It was just incredible. And by 9 o'clock, by 10 o'clock, probably was when we kind of hit our 80 some head of people there. And there's one video of what it looked like before. And it was just under these bleachers, it was just a flood of people in there, 3 people deep in each section. One guy was clear up underneath on his hands and knees, pulling out and pushing out. Then there was a guy with the pitchfork pushing it to the back, another guy pushing it out the back. And by the time we ate lunch, about 12:30, the bleachers were completely done. And then we ate lunch. Holganics brought in barbecue from Hy-Vee. Schaefer Dave was there as well. So we stopped for probably half an hour for lunch. And then we probably spent 2 to 3 hours after lunch. Probably a half the crowd had to go after lunch, which was fine considering how much we got done. And by 3 o'clock, we went around putting out pea sand, moving some things around. And by 4 or 5 o'clock, my opinion was the track was in a condition, the arena, call it the arena, was in a condition that it would have been 2 weeks ahead of a poll for the committee to then be like, all right, we gotta wash some benches, we gotta do this, we gotta do that, put some signs up. I mean, 24 hours after it was, well, guys, we got people coming tomorrow. We got to put on a happy face, and we'll see how we do. And maybe we'll have some more work days. And it was incredible. And so proud. I went around and tried to meet everybody. Probably a third of the people were fans from Minnesota, Iowa, South Dakota. It was fathers and sons. It was husbands and wives of fans. So a third of these 80 people were fans. A third were pullers. A third were crew and just other people that were associated with the Outlaw. Nobody was from the city of Rock Valley because we made it very clear we do not want to take any of this effort away from the city. And so it was pretty incredible, Michael, to the point that was Saturday night. And then we all went home. Everybody took a break on Sunday. And then you as a pull committee met about noon on Monday, Kurt, and take us from there.
The pros and cons were discussed once again, and the vote was unanimous. We didn't have a single no vote. And yeah, we decided we got to move forward. We owe this town a chance at a little bit of normalcy and a chance to hopefully raise some serious money.
There's millions of dollars being kicked around out there as to the losses, hundreds of millions of dollars being, bring that up, Michael. Yep. So there's the press release that Rock Valley put together from a very, clear statement from the board of, they talked to the people of Rock Valley of why we want to do this. They talked to the fans and they talked to the pullers in this press release, quite simply from the standpoint of, number one, it's free admission. Everybody come prepared to give a free will donation too. This is going to be the fundraiser of all fundraisers for the city of Rock Valley and their residents. And so I'm sure everybody on here has seen this press release. It's pretty touching just from a standpoint of there's a lot of emotion in this letter that have come from the people of Rock Valley and the board of the Valley Pullers.
Yep. I'd really like to let's go ahead and just read these first couple of paragraphs here. That way people can just digest this fully, because I thought this press release was just worded. I don't know who is writing this for you, but they did an outstanding job. And when I saw this, my heart just exploded with joy. So this says, after much consideration, prayer, and consultation with multiple city leaders, the Valley Pullers Board voted unanimously to proceed with the 2024 Thunder in the Valley Truck and Tractor Pull this coming July 12th and 13th. Not only will it still happen, but it will be a free admission gate to all pulling fans that want to come and enjoy 3 big sessions of truck and tractor pulling. A free will donation will be collected at the gate, with 100% of the donations collected to be given to the flood victims and relief efforts of Rock Valley. I mean, that says it all right there. So what does this mean to you, to the community, to the pullers? What's the feedback? What happened when this went public?
Oh, I would say lots of positivity. Dave Nelson did write this, by the way. But
I had plenty of edits and help.
He had a great English teacher somewhere, evidently.
No, we should talk to her.
Anyway, our phone started blowing up. Pullers fans. Is this serious? How are you gonna make that game? We just think that that when you let people in the gate especially when you're fundraising, when you tell somebody how much they have to spend, if you don't tell somebody how much they spend, it generally is better to not tell them, and they usually feel moved to give. And it's
people in a tough economy, with everything being what it's being, and Dave spoke about this last night, it can be hard to open up the wallet at times. But when you're opening up the wallet to something that's giving back to your fellow neighbor, to something that you believe in, it's easy to reach in there and give that amount. That's going to be up to each and every individual fan. We hope that they feel moved to be generous. But to me, this is a win-win, because you're sitting here saying, is a tractor pull the appropriate thing to do in the face of such challenging adversity? And when you come together and say, absolutely it is, to me, this says we're Rock Valley, we're the Outlaws, we're truck and tractor pullers, and we're giving it right back to where it belongs. Nobody loses in this scenario. People get to go pulling, the fans are excited, the community has a sense to rally behind. This is just big news. This is big news. So you're hearing it here on Outlawed Live. Thunder in the Valley will overcome the floods, and it will continue without a hiccup, essentially.
Bring your heart as an Outlaw Nation. Bring your heart as a fan, as a puller. This is our time to love on this city that's given us one of the biggest and best tractor pulls that we could ever have out here in the Midwest. We have a lot of great pulls, but Rock Valley is always a special one to all of us. So come with a giving heart. And the thing I liked about it, we talked about it last night on Beer Money Pulling Team, was this press release blew up Facebook last night. It's had 570 likes, which is great. But the thing to me, this thing has been shared 612 times. This press release has been shared 612 times, to where it is just, to me, this is pretty powerful. We've got a lot of our national sponsors asking if they can give, asking if their co-network, other company can give. And so we are expecting crowd control. We are expecting parking issues, but don't let that stand in the way of you coming. They're working on where they can put campers. Campers are going to have to bring their own generators. But this is going to be a pretty amazing event from the fans and pullers giving back.
It's going to be a huge pull done for all the right reasons. And that's, kind of the snowball effect right there. That's going to be the reason that it's going to be big. And it's wonderful. There's no one who's not excited to see this. So continuing under the sense of donation giving, Dave, this page just went live. Let's talk about the page we have up here right now, and tell the fans what they need to know about what we're sharing at this moment.
So this is, if you feel that you want to give, you're not able to be there, we'll talk about the ways you can be there. But this is the GoFundMe page that we have set up, Outlaw Truck and Tractor Pullers Northwest Iowa Relief Fund. And you can see we've set a goal there of $375,000. And we don't know if that $375,000 will come just through GoFundMe, if it'll come through the gate, and GoFundMe and different ways of raising money. But we're going to set this bar pretty high, and we're going to push and push to get there because we want to bless back our family in Rock Valley and all of those families that we've never even met before and we probably will never meet. This is our way. So if you go on to GoFundMe, Outlaw Truck and Tractor, if you just go in the search bar up at the top middle and start typing in Outlaw Truck and Tractor Puller, this is what you're going to find. And this is where, if you cannot be there, there's the search engine right there in the middle. This is the way that you can start giving. 100% of these funds are going to the city and the people of Rock Valley. It's not going to get dumped into anything outlaw. It's not going to get dumped into the Valley Pullers for new bleachers. This is going to the people of Rock Valley, to where Kurt and Rich and the guys are talking about how they're going to distribute this money, whether they just go start handing it to families, what the structure is. But there's different ways to give. This is GoFundMe. The other way to give is to come and partake and give in the free will donation. The other way to give is to come. You can go to the Outlaw page. Let's go to the Outlaw page too. There's a t-shirt being made. No, go to the Thunder in the Valley page. Go Thunder in the Valley page. And I think it's probably one of the last posts put up there. There's a t-shirt that just got designed today that's going to be selling. All the proceeds will be going to the fund for Rock Valley. And then the other one is Outlaw TV. Outlaw Pulling TV is going to be free for Rock Valley. We're going to ask you for a donation, but those funds, 100% of Outlaw Pulling .tv is going to the city of Rock Valley. So any form of revenue being brought in on anything of this is going straight to Rock Valley citizens. And so this is the t-shirt that came out, Kurt, today. Talk about what this shirt means and some of the stuff on it.
We kind of decided that Pulling for Hope was going to be our motto, because that's what we need. That's what the town needs. That's what the people need, is hope. And to give them a glimpse of hope that we are going to be there to walk beside them, help them, and help them financially. And the hashtag Valley Strong, that's what our town, that kind of came from 2014 when we flooded the last time really bad. So yeah, it kind of, yeah.
How many people are in town? How many people live in Rock Valley?
4,500.
4,500. So last year they had about 15,000 people in town for the three shows combined. I mean, could we see 20,000 this year? I think we could very easily.
Yeah.
And what a better way for this town to, I hate to say it, but give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Let's go enjoy tractor pull.
Yep.
Let's go see all these thousands of people come to your town to celebrate you. And it's hard to use the word celebrate you, celebrate Rock Valley, but come see all these people come to your town to show you that there is hope.
I can only imagine how much the community needs this. You're there day in, day out. You know, being a school teacher, I saw what they were doing in the school, trying to put back together. And let's say you've just been busting tail for 6, 7, 8, 10 days in a row. And you smack your buddy on the back and you say, hey man, let's take a break and go to a tractor pull.
Yep.
Let's go do what we do every July. And tonight, let's just be fans instead of being, whatever else is happening. And to me, that's what this pull is going to represent. This t-shirt, I noticed, available in person only, correct? This is not something you're going to be able to get online, or is that a developing situation as well?
No, we are going to sell them somewhat ahead.
Okay.
My business will have them at probably a week from now, Tuesday or Wednesday. But I'm not going to do pre-orders for taking them to the show because, we got way too much going on. But if they want to stop out at the business to get them, they're more than welcome, or message us.
Wonderful. Well, guys, the
other thing to kind of talk about, Mike, and we're just going to put this out there to get people thinking, is how many volunteers does it take to put on the Rock Valley Tractor Pull, Kurt?
200.
200. So we've got 200 people of that town that come together to put on this tractor pull. And you've got to think, I'm going to pick a number, 50% of them have been affected with water in their house up to the first level floor, the basement gone. I mean, I'm just going to pick 100 of those people have been severely affected by the flood. They've all been affected by the flood, but I'm going to say 50% of them, 100 have been affected by the flood. So that's 100 bodies that potentially are just going to be too tired to work, or they're going to be out of town because they took shelter somewhere else, or they're just trying to find another place to live. So we're going to be needing a good handful of people to step forward. We already got the poll committee at Lamar's over at the county fair in Lamar's, Iowa, calling today and saying, hey, can we bring part of our crew? We'll come do whatever you want at your tractor pull. And so we are asking for people to be thinking. We're probably going to put an online volunteer sign up form to, maybe it's helping sell hamburgers, maybe it's helping at the gate, maybe it's working Friday night because you don't pull till Saturday afternoon. All those types of things, quite honestly, to where we understand as pullers, you're there to pull. But if you have an open slot in one of those 3 sessions, we're going to ask you to help in a different way, because this is part of giving back to Rock Valley. It's our time. And so, but come prepared to give any donations that you can. Come prepared to buy a t-shirt. Come prepared if you can to work. But ultimately come prepared just to love on this city of Rock Valley and give back to our fellow man.
Kurt, Dave, thank you guys so much for coming on both last night and tonight. Just Outlaw family. I mean, that's the only thing I can think to say at the end of this. Any closing messages? I do want to play the Rock Valley video before we transition over to the Texas Bullwhip Motorsports team. They're waiting patiently in the wings, and they've had a big weekend here.
Yep.
Any final thoughts and anything that you guys want to say to the fans or viewers out there this evening?
Go ahead, Kurt.
We will keep you updated on the camping situation. As soon as it dries more, we will assess. The big campground in Rock Valley is destroyed with the full hookups and everything. And that's, that I don't see that opening back up this summer. But the regular camping across the highway, I can't guarantee it, but I think we will try to get that ready to go, that people can camp there. And depending on the response we get, we may look for some more places to put some campers. People might have to take their side-by-sides or hoof it a mile, but we will keep you guys updated.
Excellent.
If you got questions about how to help, contact me. Contact Kurt Koima, but don't be afraid to understand that Kurt's still helping the town. Kurt Van Beek, Kurt Koima, they're still helping their town. They're still helping their people. So call them if you need them, but don't be afraid to call me either. Look on the Outlaw website. You can find my number. You can look back in the different posts. You can find my number, get me on Messenger, text me. But let's let people keep doing what they need to do for their city, and call us with questions and get ready to help if you're available to help. But come one, come all. Let's have an awesome weekend.
Guys, thank you so much. Valley strong, and we're going to rally in the Valley. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. We'll play that video, and it's going to be an awesome tractor pull. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Michael.
Get ready for Thunder in the Valley in Rock Valley, Iowa. Experience the live action on Friday, July 12th and Saturday, July 13th with 3 powerful sessions. Friday session starts at 6:30 with 2 sessions on Saturday at noon and 6 p.m. Visit rockvalleypool.com and get ready for the roar of Thunder in the Valley.
Awesome.
It's time to let the other Nelsons come on now.
It's all Team Nelson at this point. All the Nelsons out there. Hey, hi, and welcome, Texas Bullwhip Motorsports team members, Dustin Corliss, Donald Nelson, and Mindy Brown. Thank you guys for waiting patiently. I know I told you 7, then I said 7:15, but then we just wanted to make sure that we really gave the Rock Valley situation everything that it needed with that press release that came out. How's everything in Texas, and how are we surviving after the first trip down to Texas for the Outlaws this year?
It's hot. I'll tell you that.
That's hot for you guys as well. I mean, I just assumed that you were, that was just another regular Saturday afternoon in Texas, but Jason Wayman told me that it was crazy, stupid hot down there. So hot really even by your standards?
No, it wasn't too bad. I mean, there was a breeze, so luckily we had that. If it wasn't, the humidity probably would have been pretty bad, but it was decent.
Sure. Well, I want to say congratulations to your team, and thank you guys for coming on this evening. A lot I want to talk about, because to me, there's a lot of fun stories that you can break down anytime you go pulling in Texas. Donald, great weekend. How did it feel to win Friday and Saturday, back-to-back nights? in your home state. Does that mean a little something extra when you get to win down in Texas, especially when you sweep the weekend?
It always is a great honor to win, especially if you sweep the weekend. I think I've been white right 37 years, 38 years. I missed a couple there when Mindy and Shandy were playing softball in Colorado, but I've never had a 2-day win that I can remember.
I was speaking on the Let's Grow Pulling podcast last night, and Jason Schultz asked me, he goes, let's look at some white right video. He said, which run do you want to see? And I said, bring up Donald's run from Saturday night. I feel like that was one of the prettiest, almost picture perfect runs that you could have seen from the whole both sessions. The track looked like it was taking a ton of power, but it looked like you weren't afraid to get aggressive out of the hole. Was that a track where you had to hit it hard early?
Yeah, you definitely had to do that. I think I had a little advantage by being last. We were first class. Super stocks were having problems. Track was coming around better. And I was the lucky one to have the last number.
Well, it was a great show. It was fun it felt like there was kind of that don't mess with Texas attitude, because old Cameron Neves had his tractor set on kill both nights too. So it was fun to see not only a Texas native finish first both nights, but to see the two Texas competitors in the modified class go 1 and 2 both nights. So that was definitely neat. But I want to hear about the two-wheel drives as well. Mindy and Dustin, you guys had very successful weekends. Mindy, if my memory serves right, you came away with a 3rd place finish on Friday. Can't hear you. We don't have any sound from Mindy right now. We'll jump over to Dustin while she gets things lined out here. Dustin, I wanted to give you a hard time. I was watching. I haven't seen your Saturday night run, but I've seen your Friday night run, and it made me chuckle a little bit. The first Outlaw Pull I haven't been at this year. I had to go to outlawpulling.tv and watch it. Great way to watch pulling. It looked like that track was sucking people to the right-hand side quite a bit. And you've got your T-bucket, and I could literally see you at the end of the run. You were leaning back over, looking at that white line and looking and kind of saying to yourself, did I keep it in? Did I keep it in? Was that your thought process on Friday? Was that chalk line sneaking up on you in a hurry?
Yeah, sure was. Dempsey went. He was first hook, Mark Dempsey, and he's a good running truck. And I seen him go, and it sure sucked him to the right. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that, but I'm gonna try over there as well. And I was kind of aiming more left to center. I was like, because I see what it's doing. And sure enough, though, it still sucked me to the right. And I was like, well, at one point, when do I get on the brake or not? And finally, I had to stab it pretty good and keep it in. And
can y'all hear me now?
Yep, you're good now, Mindy.
Okay.
So
sorry, keep going.
It wasn't the best to run, but then the next couple trucks came up 307, a little bit creep up the head. I was like, well, if I shoulda, coulda, woulda, if I didn't have to get on a break, could I have been farther? But then, that night the early numbers wasn't where you want to be. The track got better later and later, and then I was sitting back, and then Mindy come blowing by me, and a few others before that, and then. Luckily, she jumped back in the lead, took it back for a little bit, but heck, there's still several good running trucks behind us that kind of crept up and got us.
Man, the state of Texas is a hotbed for two-wheel drive trucks, isn't it? I know the Outlaws have, I would say Dollar Sedonut's the best two-wheel drive truck out there, period. But they really come out of the woodwork down in your territory. Is that just a cultural thing? What makes the two-wheel drive such a big class down there?
I'm not sure. It's been really popular. It started back in the 80s, and it's grown. We have a lot of two-wheelers in Texas. We really don't need support from other states, but we're glad to have them when they come, because
sure,
it's always a challenge to pull against new iron.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that, because there were some guests that made some appearances this weekend, and I'm looking forward to hearing the stories behind that. So Mindy's got her volume figured out now. 3rd place finish Saturday night.
Yes. Yeah. So I was in 2nd place up until Buffalo Chips came up and blew right by me. But I mean, it was a good pull. My Saturday hook was obviously not as good. I think it came down to numbers, but who knows? Because then right after me, again, Buffalo Chips crept up there, and the last hook as well. So I mean, I was just glad to be there. Glad to make a hook. I don't know if I'm going to make any more this year. I have a very busy summer with my coaching assignment.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
but it is always nice to try to catch a Texas bull.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I really wanted to have, to me, I hear a lot of people, myself included, my schedule, I've got a lot of 6-hour drives, and my wife looks at me, she's like, oh man, like those long drives, like 6 hours. And I said, hold on, like when we go to Texas and when the Texas guys do well, we really need to feature them. We don't know anything about long drives. So when we can come and play in your area, it's really worth highlighting. So I'm glad that you had an opportunity to get behind the wheel of that truck. Talk to us about the driving duties, and Donald, you can weigh into that orange truck, the little whip. Do you guys split that? Is that pretty much your truck? How did that who does what with that? And, when will we see who in the cockpit next?
So I think my dad got away with buying the 2-wheel drive because it was, he told my mom, well, that's, Mindy's truck. She's going to drive it. And, it's funny because people, every time I show up to a pool, well, are you driving? And I'm in my head, I'm like, if I wasn't here, I wouldn't have it. Like, if I wasn't here, I wouldn't be driving, but I'm here. I don't have a choice. The only time I made it to a pool and I didn't drive was when I was 8 months pregnant or 9 months pregnant. So that's been the only time I've showed. Well, I take that back. Last year in Right, or 2 years ago, my daughter was very young, a couple weeks old. And so I also didn't drive, just because I wanted to take care of her and didn't want to have to worry about that. But otherwise, if I show up to a pool, the plan is for me to drive. So when I'm not there, which is a lot during the summer, usually my dad will drive it, or we have another crew, Mark Jansen, he'll show up and drive. My uncle has driven it before when he's come to a pool. So it's kind of the utility vehicle, I guess.
Donald, do you have the purple truck and the orange truck set up about identical, or is the purple one kind of set up more to your taste and the orange one set up more to Mindy's? Is it a challenge when you hop back and forth between them?
They're two complete different trucks. They have different chassis, but I've figured out through the years how to adjust now that we're used to both of them, and one is a lot different than the other. So, but we make them work best we can.
Yep. And then, so Dustin, do you ever get to climb into those with the full cab, or are you full T-bucket? And you're kind of like saying, if I'm going to drive it, I'm going to be out here in the open air where I can see that chalk line when it's creeping up on me.
No, honestly, I drove Little Whip once in my life. The very first time I ever drove it, very first time I ever drove a 2-wheel was in Enos, Texas, and I drove it for a one-night event we went to on a raceway, and that was the first and the last time I ever drove that truck. And then I think when Mindy mentioned when she had Baylor, we were swapping chassis that time. We sold my old Run and Tell It chassis, and we're working on a new T-bucket scheme. And Don was like, well, I'm going to drive Little Whip. Come on, you just drive Whip It. So I have drove that one a couple times down the track, and I think 2 times only, and both in White. But no, so for the most part, we like to keep everybody in there what they feel. It's
Do you prefer the open cab of the T-bucket?
Oh yeah, I mean Mindy's truck, you can still see some, but that purple truck, I hope a flagman never falls down because you will not see where you're going. Especially if you flirt with the chalk line, you cannot see where you're going, and that's probably one of the loudest trucks I've ever been in.
Oh man, that's interesting. That's awesome. So Dustin, I've always wondered this about you. What's your affiliation? How did you come to be a member of the Bullwhip Motorsports team? I mean, are you a nephew that I didn't realize, or you a kid that just kind of showed up one day, kind of like in Fast and Furious, and then never left? Or how did Dustin Corliss become the member that he is of the Texas Bullwhip Motorsports?
Oh man, I'm just gonna shoot this number. Don't hold me to it, but maybe going on 11 years ago, I moved to Bernardo. And I was in the oil field, and I was 7 on, 7 off, and there's a little house I found for rent, right, but about a mile from Donald's, and got to start knowing everybody in the community, which I grew up in Columbus, which is only 8 miles west of Bernardo area, and anyway, started working and got to know Donald from seeing him through the feed store or the little
Sure.
cafe here in town, and got to know him. And he's like, "Hey, well, I bet the Zycheks kind of introduced me to him when I used to work for him in the high school, and that's how I kind of met Donald. But to speed up is, I moved to Bernardo, got to know Donald, and he's like, "Hey, you mind starting helping me?" And I believe I helped him for 4 or 5 years, and then one day he's like, "Hey, my brother Brian had a chassis, and he doesn't want it no more. Would you be interested?" And we built it from scratch, and you run it and see how it goes, and see what we do with it. And my rookie year, we put this T bucket together. I mean, from the drive line to everything. And my rookie year, I finished 5th and got to go to Louisville, and hadn't looked back since. I mean,
were you a big truck and tractor pulling fan before that, or what background did you have? And rookie year, he goes to Louisville and he's running with the Texas Bullwhips. I mean, that's a dream come true, you know?
I mean, like I said, back in high school, I went to Cole Zychek was a couple grades below me, and I actually worked for his dad when I was 16, and my uncle worked there as well, and got to know him and kind of introduced a little bit of pulling. And I think the first pull I ever went to was in Taylor, Texas, and that's when that's where I met Donald. And actually, they were still kind of sharing a trailer, or they were kind of doing him and Y were doing different things with trailers, and you were running Lucas
NTPA,
and we actually hauled the 2-step and 2 trucks they had to Taylor on an open flatbed trailer. And Donald showed up, pulled one night. I think the next night he hauled butt and went up north to go pull at some Lucas pool, and that's where I met Donald and got to know him a little bit, and that's how I got introduced into pulling. And so then I moved to Bernardo later on in life, and started helping him. The first pool I think I went to him was with the last one they had in San Antonio for Texas. And unfortunately, Friday night we had a bad luck with the night, so we just just went out and had fun the rest of the time. And hell, I've been with them ever since.
What happened that night? You said you had some bad luck. You got to spill the tea there.
We had a new motor in the little whip, and my engine builder, it was his choice. We put a screen inside the oil pan that it restricted the oil flow. And right when I was going to spin out near the finish line, I don't remember how far I was, I spun out, but everything else blew out. So we had hole in the block and rods coming out. So it wasn't a good night. It was a brand new motor.
Wow.
So next day it was just go drown your sorrows. That's all we could do.
It probably wasn't the first time that you had experienced a catastrophic failure of some variety, so
no, but that was probably one of the more expensive ones.
Yeah. So Dustin, that gives us your story on getting into pulling. Donald, you're a legend of the sport. I mean, people know your name. You're well renowned. How did you get involved in this? Tell me kind of what year it started and what sparked your interest, and maybe some quick highlights and memories that you have over your illustrious career in truck and tractor pulling.
Well, my dad started pulling in the early 70s, so I was very young, and he continued to pull up until 1989 or 90, I think it was. But Whitey, Neil Zychek, and I, we went to Missouri in 82, right out of high school, and bought a chassis. And in 83, we started running it together as partners. And we pulled in the Texas Association back then, and with one engine on the tractor. And we progressed from there. So we decided after 1 year of that, we won the points, and we were rookies of the year in Texas. And we wanted to move forward, so we bolted on another engine, and we advanced out to other pools, and we continued to advance from there. I mean, it was just, a snowball effect, I guess. My dad stayed where he was. He never went further than one engine on his modified tractor, but I've been involved in it, since I was a young kid, and I love it. We've met a lot of great people. I like that my family's involved in it. My mother got to come to Whitewright this year, and my dad passed last year. So
yeah,
that was, for me, it meant a lot for Mindy. It meant a lot, and we was glad to have her there.
How meaningful is it, looking both directions too? And Mindy, this is kind of aimed towards you as well. I know as a father, I really connect with truck and tractor pulling with my sons. It's something that just, he loves it. He just does. You talk about how important it is to win in front of your mother and how your father inspired you. How great is it to have, a daughter who also shares that love for it? And Mindy, when did you how old were you when the bug kind of bit you and you knew that truck and tractor pulling was going to be in your blood?
I mean, I grew up around it as well. I remember, going to Whitewright and going to De Leon. We took our little kiddie pools and we'd play in there. And so I definitely remember growing up around the sport. I don't think I ever thought that I would be in the seat ever. That was just not really, never went through my mind. But then when my dad did purchase Little Whip, he was like, well, kind of got it for you.
For you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So he was like, do you want to drive it? And hold on. Hey. You want to get in the seat. And so we had our hometown pool, what we call our hometown pool in Columbus, and was a senior in high school, I believe, or the summer of my freshman year. I can't remember exactly, but I think I was a senior in high school. And so my dad was like, oh, that's your chance to drive, And so I got to pull there. I pulled a few times in Taylor as well, or maybe one or two times, I don't know. But that was kind of how I got involved, I guess, actually pulling. So
what's more fun, winning a truck and tractor pull or winning what do you coach? Softball, volleyball? What do you coach?
Yes, volleyball and softball.
Oh, both. Oh, man.
Yes.
All right. So which is more fun, coaching the team to a win or driving that orange truck out there and watching that flagman run backwards and knowing that you've got it in the bag?
I would say probably driving. I mean, we're successful at our high school where I coach. We're known for making it to the playoffs, and we usually go 1 to 2 rounds. This year, our softball team did pretty well. They made it to the 4th round, and we beat some, two top 10 teams, and we weren't ranked at all. And so that was very exciting, obviously, but it's nothing like truck and tractor pulling. I just wish more people that I worked with knew what the sport was and knew more about it. I try to get them to come to Columbus because it's not far at all from Sealy. It's only about 15, 20 minutes. So just so that they can learn more about the sport and see it in person, because you can watch videos all day, but it's not the
people
same.
who don't understand it. And I'm sure you're like me, I'm in education as well. It's really hard to convince my superintendent that I'm going to be gone for 5 days in the middle of February to go to an indoor tractor pulling event where they have this preconceived notion in their mind of, just a 1206 out there pulling a 2-bottom plow or something. And to kind of explain to them, it's a little bit bigger than that. But no, to get people to understand, I think building education and growing the sport, something that we can do and something we're trying to do. Is Whitewright the closest pull you guys have to home?
With the Outlaws, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Whitewright, and then we have De Leon.
Well, De Leon.
De Leon.
De Leon's actually close.
Well, and now Lufkin. So
are all those, and you guys are kind of in Eastern Texas, Southeast Texas. I've never been to Texas. I want to go so bad, but I certainly don't know my Texas geography. Northeast Texas, is that kind of the sandbox we're playing in here?
60 miles west of Houston, right off of Interstate 10. Right between where Sealy and Columbus, but we're 60 miles west of Houston, or how many miles?
200 miles of San Antonio.
200 miles San Antonio. So,
Okay.
It took us
how
about
long?
5 hours to get to Whitewright.
But for you, that's a stroll in the park, right?
I was with my toddler, so I wouldn't call it a stroll in the park. When we stopped and she was like, ride with Mimi and Papa, I was like, that actually sounds like a great idea. Go do that.
Compare Rock Valley or South Dakota or something like that, So here's the story I really want to talk about. I've been dancing around this all over the internet, and I want to hear from you guys. you hear there's a big to-do made about, and I was excited to see them. I love guest pullers. I love when pullers from other associations cross over. It's great for the fans. So you hear that Wayne Brandt and Donnie Sullivan are coming to pull. And I'm sure you've crossed paths with these individuals before at some point. Does a part of you kind of stick your chest out and say, hey, you know, we're the Outlaws, like, come on down, we're happy to have you, but you know, you're not going to pull right past us without us putting our best foot forward. What was it like to play with them, and do you kind of feel that sense of pride when you have people from another association come and pull against you? Are you putting your best motor forward, so to speak?
It was a great honor to have the Sullivans here in Texas. They haven't been here for a long time. I pulled with Papa Wayne back in the 80s, and for many pulls, you know, we traveled Houston, San Antonio. We did the TNT deal, and I pulled with Wayne back in the 80s, and Donnie ran a two-wheeler or tractor also. So I've known them for a long time, and they've always been great friends of mine. Mindy got to pull against the Sullivans in Louisville, Kentucky, where she first met them. Always great people, always a great honor to be where they are and compete against them, because they enjoy the sport like we do. They're a big family.
I thought the results were very interesting. So to my knowledge, and Donald, you can help me out, is this the first time they've hooked with the Outlaws, or at least in recent memory?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so he finishes third in your class. Let's just talk the modifieds for right now. If I finished third 2 nights in a row, I would be leaving that event with such an itch I felt the need to scratch. I would say third is a lot of fun, but man, I've got to get to the next event and gun for second or first. Do you think that we will see him coming and playing with us again in the future?
I don't think with their schedule this year it will happen. We hope to see him maybe back next year in Whitewright. And I helped Donnie and his dad all I could to help school him in the mod class. I didn't give him any pointers in the two-wheeler class. That's where Donnie's big stick, and he can really whip you. So
right.
I really like, you know, Papa Wayne, and they've never ran the twin engine class that at our weight category. So I was schooling them a little bit on what I do, and believe it or not, the Kentuckian tractor and the Twisted Whip tractor were built the same year, back to back, by Scott Tedder. So we have identical tractor.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And
so
very no one else in the Outlaw or in our area has the same 2 chassis.
That's really interesting then, that we would see them come together this weekend and perform pretty comparably. You know, when you look at the top 3 tractors and how they all drove, I thought all 3 of those were really, really similar. So he talks about the big stick. You know, I think he was an NTPA champion last year, if I remember that right.
Right.
Have you guys pulled against him at Louisville? Did you kind of have the scouting report on him? So when are you, Mindy and Dustin, are you just playing happy host? Are you just saying, hey, we're just happy that you're here? Or are you kind of thinking, we're happy you're here, but you know, we're gonna try everything we can to beat you?
I would say we're definitely happy to have them. Like Donald said, they're a great family. I mean, Brant's actually drove in Texas before. He's flown down to Columbus Pool and drove one of Zychek's trucks. So it wasn't his first time pulling in Texas when he drove his other truck, which is new. But back to like Donnie, you know, when you have a heavy hitter like that, the national champion of the NTPA come down, and you stick your chest out. You want to perform good. Yeah, you hope to get by him, but it's all fun and games. Yeah, you get a little competitive when the helmet comes on, but if you know you can slide one by them, you feel good about yourself. Like Donald or somebody mentioned earlier, you know, Texas has a number of trucks. You're always pulling against one another, but when you have some new competition come in, that's great. You know, has a name for himself, and you can get by them or stay right there with them. It makes you feel a great honor.
Sure. You almost, I would imagine you're kind of pulling both for your state and your association, kind of representing that pride. And I think that's something that you guys would be putting on, and you do an excellent job representing. I think Brandt might be pulling with us I've heard rumors that we might see him in Wisner or other places later on this year. So that'll be a fun story to develop as well. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Before I let you go, I do have one personal curiosity question. This is one where I'm just being nosy as a fan. Donald, what's the story on the Texas Bullwhip on the Brent Long motor tractor? We have not seen it out yet this year. Is that something that we're hoping to see in 2024, or just kind of give us a hint of where things are going with that?
Well, I've been waiting patiently, but it is a work in progress. They're working on it slowly. I don't know if we'll see it out yet this year. I mean, I'm hoping to have it out later in the year. They have all the parts located now. I think everything is there. From my understanding, it's just a matter of time of getting the motor put back together and on all the new electronics and all the parts put on it. So, I'm waiting for it. I'm ready.
You say that like you're waiting on springs, like you're kind of missing an old friend, so to speak.
Well, the bullwhip may not always be a winner, but I'll tell you what, it'll be right in your butt if you watch him.
It's got to be about the hardest running 6-cylinder out there that I know of. When did the two V8s come off of it? When did it go to its current iteration that it's at now?
Well, when I originally built it, I had a 6-cylinder with a Chevy stair step behind it. I built for Outlaws, but then they outlawed me before I got to even run it. I did run in Missouri State some with it, and it was very interesting when I started that program with that tractor. So then they didn't allow me to do that, so I ran with Outlaws for several years there, and then I added the two Chevys crossways behind the 6-cylinder, and it was a challenge. And we would do okay, and tracks were good. We couldn't get enough weight in the front, so we moved some things around, did some different things, and RPMs were always different with the Chevys and the 6-cylinder. So I had a gearbox built by Brent Nation, and we went to 2 Hemis on it, and had an overdrive gearbox built, and that worked really well. But then I was breaking rear ends, couldn't keep the front end down on good tracks, and I finally, we gave up on it.
It was one of the most unique and fan favorite designs in a modified that we had seen for a long time in the mid 2000s, 2010s, whenever it was. And I know it was one of those when it pulled in, people would talk about it left and right, but it's still, even as it sits right now, such a unique vehicle and such a hard, like you said, it might not be 21471 Hemi sitting out front, which is kind of the bread and butter. But on the right track, on the right day, you better watch out, because that thing is a bullet when it lights, and with you in the seat, nobody's safe. So
you can never count it out for sure. And I did qualify in Louisville one year with it. So that was, that's always back in my heart, that was a great honor to qualify with that tractor with the 2 motors on it.
Yeah.
And, I didn't finish well in the finals. One of the input shafts broke on the side motor at about 100 foot. And, that's the way it is. But it's a great tractor. We enjoy it, and the fans love it. They're always asking about it.
Oh,
we got to get it back. We got to have it back.
Yep. No, I love everything about that vehicle, and we can't wait to see it out. You mentioned, being with the Outlaws, and when you put that in with the Outlaw, and this is kind of the question I want each of you to answer, and I want to end on, being an outlaw organization, being in the Outlaw Association, I really feel that you guys are some cornerstone members, that the state of Texas is a cornerstone aspect of it. Just kind of talk to us about, what does Outlaw Family, what does Outlaw Nation mean to you? It's the best association I've ever been around. Is it a sense of pride? Is it a sense of family? Just kind of talk to us about your relationship with the Outlaws and how long you've been here and what it means to you guys.
I've been with the Outlaws Association since 93, if I recall. The Texas associations were shutting down, so we had to move along, and we started running with the Iowa tractor pullers and the Outlaws, and became full-time members of the Outlaws and the Iowa tractor pullers, and we've been with them ever since, and we've enjoyed all the years and really met some really great people, and continue to meet people. I mean, it's a big family. We never meet a stranger.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Dustin, what's it mean to you to be an outlaw?
Oh man, it means a lot. Like I said, when you say outlaw, it's family. I mean, I pulled with the Texas Association, so as long as I've been with the outlaw, and both are just really great. It's just a big family. Like I said, y'all help each other. Helmet comes on, you get a little competitive. You want to get out there, do your thing. Comes off, next guy, you having trouble at the start line, you're out there helping them, doing whatever you can. I mean,
Right.
we went from helping a buddy when they down a motor. Hey, we want to keep you right there, even though you're a strong running truck and maybe could take us out, but hey, we're going to help you out, whatever. It really,
Go ahead, Dustin.
it's really a definition of family. Outlaw.
One of the best stories, I think the one you're alluding to out of the 2023 season, was when you guys lent the cotton candy pulling team the motor for their T-bucket so they could continue the rest of the year. And I know I talked to them in Sac City, Iowa. They got the win that night. They blew the motor in the T-bucket, and I went and talked to them afterwards. I said, we're done for the season. It is what it is. And then I saw them in Wisner, and there's a motor sitting on it. I was like, wait a minute. And they told me the story, and I just thought, boy, that's what it's all about right there. That's a great, great story. Mindy, you're an outlaw through and through. What's it mean to you?
I mean, they kind of said it. I mean, it's obviously the only organization that I've been a part of besides with the Texas Pullers, but the people that you meet, they're there to help you, like Dustin said, but you're also there to compete. And so it's always fun, and you get to learn all about them. I follow them on Facebook, and you get to see what their kids are doing and what they're involved in. And I really like it. And I'm proud to say that I'm a member of the Outlaws, and we wear that big. When we go to Louisville, we can compete with anyone out there. And the Nelsons, the Corzines, they ran a little bit with us last year in Whitewright, and then came to Rock Valley, and they had a really good weekend in Rock Valley last year.
Yes,
so I'm not sure what their plans are this year. I'm not sure if they plan on coming back and trying to get a sweep again as well, but we enjoy having, people from other organizations. I'm sure their organization is great as well, but I'm proud to say that I'm definitely an outlaw.
I love it. So I lied because you're a teacher, so you're always opening up great discussion topics. There's one more thing I need to add. You talked about Rock Valley, and you saw the first half hour of our show was dedicated to Rock Valley. What were each of yours reaction when you saw that the pull was going to be on as scheduled? Mindy, what was your reaction when you saw that Thunder in the Valley was going to continue despite everything that had happened up there?
Yeah, we've been keeping up, on Facebook with how much rain they've gotten, the flooding and the devastation that they've gone through. So we were definitely hoping to have the pull. It's one of our favorite pulls in the summer. It's usually one of the only out-of-state pulls that I get to make. And so and this year I'm unfortunately not going to be able to make it, but I was still wanting it to happen. So to see that all the workers, that came and helped, and like they were saying, we didn't tell people what to do. They just showed up, and they knew that they needed to get to business. And so I'm super glad. I'll definitely be watching from home. But it's awesome to see that come together and everybody help out to get that pool, on.
For sure. Dustin and Donald, what did you guys think when you heard that Thunder in the Valley was going to continue despite the monumental floods they'd had up there?
I actually was really surprised because I've heard all the bad things that was going on around there. And we really didn't think it probably was going to happen. It was just so much devastation there with the town and the businesses, and how were they going to have time to concentrate on worrying about a tractor pull? Families come first, and that's always how it, everybody, family comes first. But it came around, and they worked hard at it. So we'll be there to support them for sure. Perfect.
Dustin, what were your thoughts on the pull?
Man, I sure hope Pizza Ranch is open because I love that place. No, like Don and Mindy both
That's
said.
Great.
It's you always hate to hear any city or state or anybody go through a flood, tornado, any kind of tragedy like that.
Sure.
I mean, here just recently, Houston, they get flooded out. I mean, it's you never want to hear it for anybody. And like Donald said, to see them all come together, and when it's something like that hits, you think tractor pulling probably be the last thing on their mind. But
right.
you know, they kept it right there, and it's like, you know what, they probably did what they had to do to survive the next few days, and then some are already starting to say, all right, how can we get this, you know, track ready, you know, for a pool coming up in, you know, mid-July. So I mean,
Right.
hats off to everybody who's came together and helped with all that. I mean, it's a good drive, and it's a beautiful. I love the scenery around Rock Valley. I mean, once you get in them hills and start rolling, it's nice. And so I mean, I'm glad we were able to get back in there, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, it goes good for us.
Yeah, you get to see that great state of Missouri, top to bottom. So there you go. You get to spend most of your day driving through the Show Me State. That's God's country. What more could you want?
Well, I don't think
No,
we don't go that route. We come through Kansas.
Well, I'll leave Kansas alone. I won't pick on them.
We'll get to see the Flint Hills.
Not sure what route we're going to have to take you.
Yeah, we did hear that there's still some flooding on like 29.
That's true. That's
so,
true.
I mean, I know it's going to be a lot of difficult for, you know, different pullers coming different ways. I mean, hopefully they have some roads and some heads up on some routes for drive, you know, for pullers and all that. Because sure hate to see anybody get stranded on a road that's flooded. So
Right. Yeah, those haulers probably aren't very easy to turn around in a tight position, I imagine.
No, we don't turn around on a dime.
So, well, guys, thank you so much for being on here. It was a great show in Texas. I thought you made the Outlaws proud. I thought you made the state of Texas proud. Two-wheel drive truck pulling is quickly turning into my new favorite class. I've always loved the modifieds. It was an excellent show. Anybody that you want to thank or any final messages that you want to give before we end this, the floor is yours. Mindy, if you need to introduce us to a future puller here, that'd be just fine too.
She's just trying to say hi, Papa. And you want to say hi?
Hi. Hey, Mayor.
No, one thing I like to say though is hats off to Ray and Ginger for all they did this past weekend for making Whitewright the pool it is. I mean, I know it's down in Texas. It's just Friday night, just looking at the stands, the amount of people they had,
packed crowd,
and it's always that way. And it's a great time. I mean, hats off to what they do. They really work hard, and they got to pull a win out on Saturday night to represent their hometown. So it's a good pool, and you know, just thanks again to all of them for having Whitewright. And like I said, now we're looking forward to Rock Valley.
Absolutely. Mindy, Donald, any closing thoughts or messages for all our viewers out here tonight?
No, just thank you for all the supporters, all the fans, whether they're a Bullwhip fan or not. We couldn't do it, you know, without them.
Well said. Well said.
I'd like to thank all the Outlaws and the committee, all the crew that travels around, and the ones that help. You know, they jump in and help everybody all the time if they need it, and we couldn't do it without a lot of them that help us. You know, we travel around more than with a couple of vehicles, so we're always looking for help and getting from show to show sometimes, and they're always willing to help jump in. We'd like to thank all those people that help us and all the sponsors for Outlaws, and it's a great honor to be involved in a great organization.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Guys, thank you so much. You're a fan favorite. You're a cornerstone team. Best of luck in your 2024 season, and just keep on pulling, folks. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that was the Texas Bullwhip Motorsports team, legends of the sport. I mean, truly, you know, when you're going to a pull and you see that Bullwhip trailer rolling in, you know you're at a big one. Donald Nelson's been pulling for a long, long time. Hard-charging puller. Just love to watch everything that he does. Mindy's a two-time National Farm Machinery Show champion. And Dustin is just one of the coolest dudes in the Outlaw Association. You just know that it's a money pull. It's a big-time pull. It's a hard charging pull when you see them there. One last thing that we need to get to tonight, we still have our When the Smoke Clears feature. So for those of you who are still hanging on, still a lot of you out there watching, thank you so much. It's been like I said, a big show with a lot to get to. If you have any comments, feel free to drop those in here. Really, really good guests with a lot of things they've had to say so far. But we are going to move over to When the Smoke Clears, our weekly feature that highlights one of our drivers. Last week, we highlighted a true rookie, Mr. Roper Brown, in his pro stock four-wheel drive truck. We're going to keep things in the family, and we're going to hop on over and we're going to highlight Dad this week. Marty Samuelson, you've been on here all night. Great show. Thank you so much. Our guests have been absolutely wonderful tonight. A lot of fun people to talk to, a lot of good things. So this week, when the smoke clears, you are looking at Derek Brown. All right, that's Derek Brown, the driver of the High Class Grass. Interesting tidbit about that truck. That is the old Oklahoma Showdown truck, though I talked to him 2 weekends ago. They said about the only thing left from that original truck is the steps leading into it. But as of last year, that was pretty much the original Oklahoma Showdown, the old white four-wheel drive truck out of Oklahoma. So let's get to Derek's bio. He is the father of Roper Brown, our rookie that we featured last week. So our puller this week is Derek Brown, the driver of the High Class Grass. Now, folks, there is a bit of an emphasis you saw on his weight box as to how he chooses to spell that. I'm just going to read High Class Grass, but you can kind of see where he puts that. Fun is being had by all. Your class and description, he's a modified four-wheel drive truck puller. He pulls in the naturally aspirated mountain motor four-wheel drive truck class. He's been pulling for 25 years. His first hook was with it said Spring River ASS. I don't know if that's the Spring River Association. That's what I'm going to go with. He says his most memorable hook was winning Rock Valley Friday night and then winning the overall points Rock on Saturday. Anytime you win the Rock, that is a huge, huge honor. The wildest ride he's ever taken, he says he caught fire at the Showdown in Cowtown, the indoor pool they used to have in Kansas City, Missouri. Great pull that they had there. Caught on fire. Haven't seen it. Don't know if I'd want to experience that. Definitely makes for a wild ride. His points championship, he has won a single points championship, and I'm really glad that he pointed this out to me. I like to try to be a historian in pulling, and I like to try to learn. I'm trying to learn as much as I can about the Outlaws. When I was looking at, now it's going to elude me for a second. When I was looking at some points championships, I'd seen that several people had won 2016, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23. And I kind of just mistakenly assumed, there wasn't a points championship in 2020 due to COVID. But the Outlaws, remembering now, stood pretty strong that year and had some events. And your points champion in 2020 was Derek Brown. So there was a points champion that year. He was your 2020 points champion. He says his biggest pulling hero is Rob Cook. His best pulling advice. Now, the Browns must be very humble individuals. I asked this both of his son and of him. What advice would you give to people? They left this blank. I interpret this as, hey, man, who are we to give advice? I find this just to be a humble response. Now, I want to hear your best advice that all of you guys have. Chose to leave it blank. Maybe that's just his way of saying that, you know what, we're just happy to pull and do well. His pulling goals are to win a modified four-wheel drive championship. That's also worth noting. He used to pull the Pro Stock, the one that his son currently pulls. He's only been pulling mod four-wheel drives, I think, for 2 years now. And the best part about being an outlaw, he says, doing what you love and the time with friends and family. And his message to the fans is do what you love and do your best. Couldn't agree more for that. Dick Blankenspore checking in says, make sure to check Iowa 511 for road closures. That was in response to the Nelsons and the Texas Bullwhip team. Absolutely anybody traveling to Rock Valley just make sure there's all sorts of apps out there. I'm sure we as an association will do our best to communicate that with you. It is interesting. And that even goes for, Dick, I'm glad you brought this up. Make sure that you're kind of aware of that as we travel into all of our events over the next upcoming weeks. Just be aware and be mindful. I know that some of my teammates really battled the road closures and kind of delayed some of our pre-show production. Just be aware. The floods are still out there. The water's got to go somewhere, and it's going downriver. And unfortunately, that big river runs right next to I-29. I don't know what's closed and what's not, but just plan your route accordingly. Folks, thank you so much for hanging in here with me. I know it was a long show. I know personally I get long-winded. It's just as God made me. I love pulling. We're at an hour and 21 minutes of what I felt was a really, really fun Outlawed Live. Tip of my cap to Ron Stone. Ron Stone guided me through this whole process today. I've done shows solo before, but people have always set them up for me. Typically, that's Ron or other individuals. Ron was on the phone during his personal time on vacation, double-checking everything, guiding me through it. He's been a mentor to me since day one nonstop. Ron, if you're watching, I hope you're having a wonderful, relaxing time in Southern Ohio, maybe checking out some vintage pulling spots. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Here's what you can look forward to next week. I'm going to get the order wrong, but I'm going to do my best. Concord, Ottawa, this is next week. This week, we're taking it off, 4th of July. Thank a veteran, thank a family member, spend time shooting off fireworks with your friends. The following week, Concord, Ottawa, Rock Valley with David City thrown in there for good measure. July is heating up. Pulling is fun. The Outlaws are amazing. Thank you guys for watching. Have an excellent rest of your Tuesday night. I'm going to play the Rock Valley video one more time. Then I'm going to play the closure video. Hope you guys had as much fun as I did. Thanks for watching.
Get ready for Thunder in the Valley in Rock Valley, Iowa. Experience the live action on Friday, July 12th and Saturday, July 13th with 3 powerful sessions. Friday session starts at 6:30 with 2 sessions on Saturday at noon and 6 p.m. Visit rockvalleypool.com and get ready for the roar of Thunder in the Valley.